Well, I hear that poor guy talking about overtime in front of people that are wearing shirts that don't work in a union. He gives them shirts. Like when he came down the golden escalator, he paid people $50 a person to stand down there. You know all the stories. It's been told. You forget because you want to. But stand in front of what is supposed to be a bunch of union workers, people that are skilled in their trades. They don't get quite as much money as they think they ought to, but they make up for it in overtime. Sure, gets taxed the hell out of. So that guy's saying, I hate overtime. I remember when I went to work in one factory, the very first night I showed up there, and my supervisor was on vacation. So the guy from another shift, he was taking me around, and he took me around that place like I was the nephew of the president or something. President happened to be Japanese, so I didn't look much like him, but from that point on, I started making jokes that I was the nephew of the president to new people, and they'd believe it, and they'd shut the fuck up and do what I told them. Because, as a new person, you want to keep your job. The shine hasn't worn off yet. This guy, Greg Schaefer, he took me around the factory and showed me how to recycle. He showed me all the places. He showed me everything. And on that walk, at one point, he just threw in there, because they were working 7 days a week. He says, and you can get as much overtime as you want. And I'm like, oh, I'm not much into overtime. I'm just a little bit into getting by. I'm not out for the dollar. I'm out for the day. I just made that up. Should probably make a t-shirt out of it. Un siete. But the thing is, as you work in a place like that, and the overtime comes down, oh, he didn't even touch it. Things are just falling apart around here. You can hear it happening. It's what I call residual energy manifestation. There's just stuff, you're sitting here quiet and shit starts flying around. You know how it goes. But for all these people that complained about having had to work 7 days a week for months on end, they really get caught up and they get some money in their bank account and they buy a boat. Now they need that overtime to pay the boat fee. It's not just the price of the boat, it's the docking. I don't know if I can say that. Docking. Oh. So as the overtime starts to slip down, the people do start to complain. All the people that complain most about having to do overtime are now complaining about not getting enough. They're like, I pay my bills on this and things. It's like, well, this is years gone by. It's not recent. Just in case anybody's saying, see. But look at this. That poor guy, he says, do away with overtime. You bring in more people to do the work and you won't have to pay overtime. And everybody's cheering behind him. I'm like, you fuckers, you've been scammed to the extent that is unreasonable. You are the ones complaining that you're not getting enough overtime anymore. And now he's standing there saying, we're going to do away with all that. There goes your cash. And the thing is, they're going to bring in some people to make up for the extra hours. I mean, I worked at the time when the overtime dropped, and the company would always have these meetings up there. You know what was going on because you know how they think. And all of a sudden they come out and say, no overtime. And I'd be going through a shift change with the guy from the shift before me working in the factory. And I'm like, why you got to take care of that. And you. And I've watched these fuckers. They just walk around and talk to people all day because they've got free range. They don't realize they've got a job to do. They don't hold it to be anything important. They're told they're not supposed to get overtime. So when you're like, you need to take care of it, well, Greg said, I can't have any overtime anymore. And I'm like, well, you should be doing your job in the 8 hours you've got. I mean, that's the one thing that bothers me. You're going to act like I'm a fucking libtard? I'm sick of the fucking people that aren't carrying their weight. I'm an independent. As an independent, I look at both sides and you go, that's fucked up. I don't like that much, but that's fucked up. We cannot go forth, at least in the olden days with government shit. You knew what they were doing and they held the country together and moving. Now they're changing it all and they've convinced people to wear a shirt for a place that they don't work. They're not in a union. And you want to say, just bring in other people for the job. Okay, he said something like, bring in 10 more people. That poor guy did. What's going to happen? He may imagine you're working 60-hour weeks and all of a sudden they say no more overtime. There goes a lot of your cash. Not only that, they've got somebody else over there that they're screwing over just like they're screwing you, because he's only getting like 20 hours a week, maybe, if he's covering for that extra 20 if you're that busy. Because I know a guy that is a megalomaniac that complained and said, yeah, I've only had 14 days off since the beginning of the year. This was a couple of months ago, but it's like, Jesus, you're saying the economy's fucked up? You're working in a UAW shop, you're a supervisor, you're running this thing, and you're saying the economy's fucked up? Why are you working so much? It's because there are orders. It means there is order. This thing is working. These people, sure, they're crooks, but they know how to keep the thing going. You got that poor guy. He's a crook, and he's just hoping to drop it all down. So he's going to say, we'll get somebody else to come in, just hire 10 more people. Okay, they get less than 20 hours a week. So now they're not making the goddamn hours they need to get medical help, because you got to be like 30, a short timer or something like that. I don't fucking know. You think I'm looking into this stuff? Look it up yourself if you have an argument with me. So now you got somebody that's coming in 20 or less hours a week. They're not getting medical pay. They're not getting any health insurance. They're not getting anything. They're just somebody that's there. And you think, it's like the one time I said, if I had two more people like me, this place would be okay. And that's not a matter of pride. That's an observation. I watch these fuckers stand around doing nothing all fucking day. I've experienced what they don't do. I've watched them. So I would say, if I had two more people like me, this place could run all right. And then I realized, no, it would only take one more person like me, because I'm doing fucking 3 shifts of work right now because of these fuckers that don't want to do their job and complain that they're not getting their overtime. So now you got these fuckers that are making less than 20 hours a week, and they aren't getting less than 30, however you want to put it. And they're not getting their health insurance, and they're not getting their overtime. You think they're going to fucking put in any effort? Do you think the people that they bring in to keep you from getting paid overtime are going to make you any happier? You're going to have to work twice as hard just to get the job done when you come back on Monday morning.